Hi everyone, welcome, good afternoon. I hope you're all enjoying quarantine life as much as we can be at this time. I'm Grant Rousseau, I'm the head of operations for ESL Esports, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about sort of what goes into running an off-season, and also a little bit about my background within esports and some advice on how you can break into it, which is a common question everyone asks me. Everyone always asks me, like, how do you break into esports? How do you break into esports? It's the common question I get a lot. So the logo you see on the left there is a logo of a company called Last Remedy Gaming. That was the esports team that I created, ran it for about 4 months, I think, before closing it and moving on to CLG. And the best advice I always give to people who are looking to break into esports is to just have a go at whatever it is you can do. Whatever your specialist area is, take it, use it, and have a go. There are so many voluntary opportunities. There are so many small rookie teams looking for people, etc. For myself, I finished university, and then before I started at Ernst & Young, there was a 4-month gap because it was the summer holidays, effectively, before the new job started. So I thought, why not just make an esports team? Had no clue what I was doing, never met players, done anything, never even seen matches, etc. And just through like trial and error of like talking to players online, starting off for like platinum players in League of Legends, and then getting a diamond team, and then getting a challenger team, just talking to lots of people. There's a lot of people that want help, need teams to represent. If you put in the work, it can surprisingly quickly grow. That's what I did, and that's kind of how I got my initial break, was just how to go myself. And then when I wanted to go full-time and professional in esports, I had a little bit of experience to be able to show the company I want to join of why I should get an opportunity. Talking a little bit about my role and what head of operations does. So there's 4 key areas. The main 2 are project management and process improvement. So I'm responsible for leading all the sort of major internal projects and some external projects within the company, in terms of strategy, facilities, whatever it may be. I kind of have to jump into areas. I've done stuff in marketing, I've done stuff in performance, I've done stuff in content, like whatever it may be, just coming in and providing that sort of project management ability and helping them take whatever it is they're trying to do and get it efficiently complete. And that's kind of marked with process improvement. So that is kind of your definition, almost like an engineer, like go in and improve something, but without sort of a budget or finances to do it. So, just improve where you can and save money. The smaller sides are day-to-day management, all these little things that crop up. Something's gone wrong with the facility, a player's got an issue. I've had so many random things. I've literally been like doing a finance work one morning and in the afternoon building a bed in a house. Like, you name it, you have to get involved as part of the job. And then performance administration, which is the one most people ask me about, and that is around sort of working with your performance team to gather players, sign players, do reviews, do statistical work, etc., and even to an extent manage them. Back in off-season of end of 2020, so going into the start of this spring split in the League of Legends Championship, we were looking to make some changes to the team. I was about 3 months into the job at this point, or 2 months in, and was given the task of running the off-season review and then making recommendations of what we want to do sort of with our performance structure, coaches, players, but also like the background infrastructure. And those who follow me on Twitter will see that I keep referring to this thing called this 2-year plan. This 2-year plan, that's actually within this. This presentation was the second one that was presented to our investor group. So the first one was much more like basic of like initial statistical work we're doing. And this one was much more, here's what I recommend and here's the money I'm asking for. So it's kind of that final step. And hopefully it should give you a bit of insight into how ESL approaches an off-season and, in my opinion, why we're a bit different to other esports teams out there right now. So the first thing that was important for me to explain to the company was what ethos are we trying to create within ESL, something that wasn't necessarily there after their first year. For anyone who was aware, the first year of LEC for ESL didn't go too well. They got 9th place and 10th place. So they were obviously looking to make some big changes. So it was important to sort of jump on what do we stand for in performance. So the main ethos we came up with is the idea of everyone on the same page at all times, no matter whether you're the lead investor or whether you are a player. You are all on the same page about where ESL's going, what we're trying to do within performance, and what we are trying to create in terms of our success within performance. And then following that, some breakdowns of how we can actually reach that. Discipline, support and commitment, and transparency. And these are things that I think we really try to push in ESL, something I was really, really big on, especially the transparency part, the fact that everyone's aware of if we're making changes to players or what we're doing in performance or why this company is going in this direction. I think it's really, really important we tell the players and we trust in them to keep that information when necessary or to react to that information as a professional. That's the one that, was a real push. But also the discipline, support and commitment, the idea that we also make this setup and that we follow it for the next 2 years and we don't waver from it irregardless of what happens, because ultimately this is something we need to build for the long term. So the 2-year plan, this is what I spoke about. And so again, presenting this idea to the investor board of I think we have a 2-year plan of trying to get a set of results out that would be a really good gain for us. I've blanked out what the result expectations are, but the end of year 2, people have heard me talking about on Twitch and stuff, our goal is to try and qualify for Worlds at the end of year 2. So it's going from 10th place to sort of 3rd, 4th place. It's a real push, and just a little bit of a split into what year 1 represents and what year 2 represents. Year 1's all about that growth, using rookies where we can, all about synergy improvement and setting up the background structure for us. And then year 2 becomes much more like taking those year 1 learnings and go, right, now we actually start winning, now we start pushing, now it's the critical thing we've learned from year 1, now we use it. So those were the idea of the 2-year plan. And when I talk about not wavering from the 2-year plan, this is the idea of what we're sticking with. Following that 2-year plan, the first step was to review our coaches and what we want to do in terms of our coaching scenario. We were looking to make some change in the coaching department. Those who follow us will know that we ended up with Young Buck, which was a pretty big gain. Anyone who doesn't follow League of Legends, he was a coach who was the most winning coach in Europe. He was called the 6-star general because he'd won 6 titles. So we'd gone from being the last place team to being able to attract a major coach, and part of that was this scenario we were building and this ethos we're building and this 2-year plan. Following that, we spoke in depth about what coaches we were looking at, who we're going to go after, and we kind of all came to agreement that these are the guys that we'd like to go after first. We ended up getting our perfect scenario, which I said was Young Buck, and then once we had that in mind, it was important to move on to the players. So this is what sets us as Excel Esports apart from other teams, in my opinion, is that we decided to go down a route of statistical analysis, something that made us stand out. Anyone who's seen the movie Moneyball will know what I'm talking about. This idea that there are so many statistics in the game of League of Legends that we can use that to identify straight up who the key players are and how they'll fit into our team as an individual role. And then from there, it can go into sort of an interview stage. So the first step would be quantitative data collection, and that's what you're going to see in this presentation. Once we're all agreed, second step, who do we look of? Okay, qualitative data, let's go do interviews with these players and coaches, and at the same time, also doing our market research, basically your references. So sort of a 3-pronged attack of identifying why someone is best for our team. This is something that we started working on at the beginning of 2020. End of 2020. We call it the EPI, which is the Excel Performance Index. We got a fantastic analyst in called Logan, who you guys might have seen around. He's a data analyst by trade, not a game analyst. So we worked with him, and we did that personally to create a statistical software. And our first iteration was what you see in front of you. I've obviously blanked out a lot of the metrics because, I can't have teams seeing all of them, but to give you an idea, I've given you the most basic metrics you guys would recognize. So we're split into 3 sections, which is consistency, game contribution, resource efficiency. And him with the coaches worked out a whole set of metrics of what they deemed to be most critical to understand a player. You'll see at the bottom there, it's 21 metrics in total, and this is all pulled directly from the game, so you can have access to the API in the game, and it's pulled all direct from there, broken down into what consistency, what game contribution, what resource efficiency actually means. And then finally fitting off with an overall budget, which is what you need to show, of course. So then obviously presenting, here's our budget last year, here's our budget this year, who are we looking at, and what's it going to cost you, and then some notes on the right of how that's going to change our budgets. And that is a quick presentation on how we approached our off season. There was about 3 more that went with this, 1 previous and 2 post this, in terms of, this was, I said, the quantitative step. We had 1 research step, then this was the quantitative step, then we had the qualitative step, and then we had the contract negotiation step. And there's a presentation according to each one, but this is the one that people like to see. Really appreciate you all tuning in. Hope I was able to give a bit of insight into sort of what goes on in off season, what goes into an esports organization, just something a bit different. Hopefully you enjoyed it as well. If you have any follow-up questions, my DMs are always open on Twitter. If you just search Grant R under Excel, you can follow up with any questions with me there, and I'm always make an effort to try and talk to everyone about, or advise where I can. So do reach out to me there.